Hey, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. It's the first time I've been back on here since Christmas and New Year and the latest lockdown being announced in the UK. So welcome. Tonight should be a very insightful chat. I'm really looking forward to speaking to world-renowned fertility expert Zita West tonight. We have an incredible opportunity that she's going to announce during the live, so stay tuned to hear what it is. I'm just going to see whether she's joined. There we go. I'll invite her in now. Okay, let's do this. Hello to those who are joining. It's going to be a great session this evening, so have your questions ready for Zita. It's just connecting now. And we're going to talk about mind, body and well-being therapies whilst you're trying to conceive. Hi Zita, how are you?
Oh, hi Eloise, I'm fine. How are you?
Good, Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you. You're looking a lot fresher than I am this evening with that wonderful red lipstick.
It helps in this depressing time we find ourselves in again.
I know, third lockdown.
I know. So I've just given a brief introduction to yourself and explained a little bit about what we're going to speak about tonight, and that you have a super surprise for us as we continue to chat. So make sure you continue watching to hear what that is. So would you like to introduce yourself?
It could be I'm pregnant at 64.
That would be a very big announcement. So please introduce yourself and then we will go from there.
Okay, well, I'm Zita West. I've been a midwife for 40 years and I'm still a practicing midwife. I have written, I think, 9 books. I have a clinic in London. I have a range of products. And then recently I've launched a baby range of products and a mindfulness type course with visualizations called HUG, standing for Heart, Uterus and Gut.
Brilliant. I can't wait to hear more about that. So why don't we start by talking a bit about the mind and the body and general well-being and your holistic approach when trying to conceive, whether that's naturally or with assisted reproduction, especially whilst we find ourselves, in the UK in another lockdown, and what people can do, men and women, to support themselves during this period.
I mean, it is incredibly hard. I'm sure you'll agree. This third lockdown feels totally different to the first lockdown when it was new and people were quite creative. The weather was good. Although there was terrible things happening in the country, we're all out there making changes and doing things. This time it's January, it's the third time, it's incredibly serious, it's growing and growing and growing. You saw the numbers tonight. I mean, horrendous watching, horrendous viewing. I know. So I've always believed in holistic approach, and it sort of like amuses me now because, you go on this trying to conceive communities, which are great. They offer great support for so many women and more so men. But it's interesting, I used to talk about lifestyle and stress and meditation. And in my books, I talked about wearing orange around transfer, which, a lot of doctors thought I was sort of quite frankly mad or on that sort of hippie fringe. And it's good to see that all of that now, affirmations, positivity, all of this is sort of, it's more in mainstream, isn't it? People are talking about it more and people are following it more. But I do think what lockdown has done, I mean, certainly for me, it's given me great engagement with women that really I didn't have before because I was busy in my clinic and, you're doing blogs and everything. So I've really enjoyed doing this. It's a great connection for me as well as it is for women to sort of hear what I have to say. But I do think, when I look on now, there is a lot of good advice, but also there's a lot of concerning advice, and I think you've got to be really careful about where you get your advice from. I don't know whether you agree or not, whether you see a similar thing yourself, but
I do, and I also feel like there is a lot of advice out there. So as you say, how do you choose what you do and what's important and maybe what's not as important? And when you're in a very vulnerable position, as I've been through myself, it can be easy to feel like you need to do everything to make it successful.
No, I agree. And I think for women, the minute they switch that light on and they want to have a baby, they have got the books, they've got the vitamins, their partners are 10 miles behind them. Women just go, go, go. And what I think is important is that you know, you do need that information, but you don't have to do everything. It's just small tweaks and changes that you need to do. And women think they need to be out there walking, they need to be running, they need to lose weight, they've got to get their mindset right, they've got to do A, B, C, D, and E. And that's what drives me mad on some of these self-help sites. It's, you've got to be positive. You know, you've got to wake up, and you've got to be positive, and you've got to get out there, and you've got to do this. You can't be positive, Eloise, all the time. Everybody's different. If you've just had a failed pregnancy test, a failed IVF, you've lost a baby, you don't feel positive. You feel really negative. But that is okay to feel like that. And certainly, you know, doing this work for as long as I have been doing, that roller coaster ride that women go through when they're dealing with uncertainty, losses, when will it happen? And when it does happen, if they do lose a baby, if they do have a failed pregnancy test each month, whatever, you learn more about yourself in those lows than you ever learn about yourself in the highs. So it's important that you sit with it and you process it. Listen to sad music, do whatever you do, but you can't expect to be positive. It's appropriate not to feel positive. And these little things are concerning, because I think sometimes women sort of think, oh gosh, you know, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or I've got to snap out of it, I've got to come out of my pity pot, when it's appropriate to be in that pot sometimes.
Absolutely. And then the pressure to be positive makes you feel even worse.
Yes, absolutely. Especially what we're going through now. I mean, I've had lots of DMs, and I do worry about women's mental health, because some of them do need to see a doctor or get specialist help. And it is hard, because you've got worried about finances, whether your cycle's going to go ahead, whether you're going to get pregnant or not, whether you're going to get COVID. It's a really, really, really difficult time.
Absolutely. Someone's just said that now, just after a failed IVF attempt 2 weeks ago. And I think also, you know, around the world, but us in the UK, listening to Boris each time he has a conference, well, there isn't really much more to shut down now, is there? But I guess for people having fertility treatment, third lockdown, there's always that worry that what if the clinics can't operate for a period again? And
absolutely. And we don't know. It's changing it changes on a daily basis. You know what we're saying today. I've gone a bit dark. Do you know why that is?
No.
It changes. It changes on a daily basis. So you've just got to go with the flow. And you know, stress levels are high. You know, certainly in our clinic, stress levels are high for clients coming through, and also for the staff. You know.
Oh, I think Zita. There we go. You come back. I think the internet went funny, but it's okay now.
I know. I don't know why I've gone. Yeah. Okay. Great. So it is hard.
And obviously, one of your specialities is fertility acupuncture.
Yeah.
Can people still be doing that at the moment?
Well, at the moment, as far as I can see with the BAC, it is going ahead. But I think that women are reluctant to come into London, and they're reluctant to have treatments, because I think that what we know now about this virus, this particular virus, this strain, is very contagious. So, you know, it's a hard decision to make for any woman, but you've got to do what you feel is right for you. And I think as well, Eloise, you know, women really panic, because unlike when you're not trying for a baby, time just passes and you think, oh, right, that's 2 months gone, 3 months gone. In a woman's mind, that clock is ticking the whole time. My God, it's January. If I don't get this IVF in March, or I don't get pregnant by so-and-so, there's a panic around it. Whereas it's only a couple of months, you know, you just got to hang in on there, and you've got to do what you can do for yourself. And for me, the mindset is absolutely key here, because you can eat what you want, you can, you know, go running, you can do all of that. But if your mindset isn't right, nothing else falls into place for you.
Absolutely. You've just written a brilliant article on the Fertility Help Hub website, which is in the bio on Fertility Help Hub. So check it out. You talk all about fertility nutrition and things to look out for in supplementation. So people should definitely head over there and read that to find out more, because the detail is amazing. I took your supplements when I was going through fertility treatment.
Thank you.
I just feel as though, again, there is so much information out there. It's really hard to decide what is important and what you're needing to look for. So if you can be led with expert advice that you
Yeah.
can trust, then that is obviously a reassuring thing. And also, I know that you have just launched Hug. So as we're talking about
Yes.
well-being, holistic well-being, please could you tell everyone a bit about it?
Yeah, I am an acupuncturist as well as a midwife, and I've been an acupuncturist for 25 years or so. And what I love about Chinese medicine is the concept that the organs in our body aren't just physical. So the heart isn't just a physical pump, it's the seat of our emotions. And the heart is really important in a lot of the work that I do. Also the uterus, the brain, and the gut. And the whole concept is a mixture of neuroscience and Chinese medicine, that there's more than one intelligence in your body. So like the brain has neurons, it's capable of communicating to the rest of the body, but so does the heart have an intelligence of its own and neurons, and so does the gut. So by breathing, by visualization, by setting yourself a challenge and, you know, going to your head, your heart and your gut, looking for those answers is really important, because the answers all lie within us. You know, no matter how many times you look outside on Dr. Google or whatever, the answer is within. But I feel, Eloise, over the last 10 years especially, that women have lost that connection with their bodies. They've lost that connection with their fertility. They lose their fertility on so many levels, not just about trying for a baby, but being creative. You know, when your life's on hold, that's your focus. You're not thinking about anything else. So, so Hug, I've sort of set up just to help them reconnect back to their inner self. And that's something you can do during this lockdown. It's something you can feel in control of and learn about yourself. You know, we're always learning about ourselves, but when you are so distracted by, sorry, it must be my internet tonight. I don't know
Don't
what
worry,
is happening.
it's
But when
coming
you're so
back.
distracted, it's very, very difficult. Yeah. So when you're distracted, it's very, very difficult to think within. So women are brilliant at managing so many aspects of their life, but when it comes to their headspace, they very rarely sort of put the time in just to be, you know, just to sit, just to be still, to breathe, to meditate. And this is very important, because it just helps your body get back into a calmer state where you're not producing adrenaline or cortisol. It helps you think. So it's a set of tools and techniques.
So when I was going through IVF, I actually came to your clinic for hypnotherapy, and I found that a saving grace for me. And it's never something that
Yes.
I have even, you know, I thought of hypnotherapy as dangling the pendulum, you know,
Oh, I
in
know.
front
And
of me.
Maureen is brilliant. She's at the clinic. She's really, really great.
And I've said this before, but not only did it help me during the 2-week wait, I think it was after my first failed IVF, but it also helped me learn coping strategies in
Yes.
terms of mindfulness that I
Yeah.
now use in other areas of my life that I'm
Yeah.
concerned about, not just related to trying to conceive.
Yeah.
So I think it's been helpful for me with sleep and all sorts of things. So I'm a big advocate for these holistic therapies that you've
I
been
do, but I
discussing.
think like guided visualizations, I've done a whole load of guided visualizations to take a woman through her journey, which looks at the head, the heart, the gut, you know, makes her very, very relaxed and asks her a question, you know, what's your challenge? What do you need to do? And, you know, visualization is one of the most powerful tools that we possess. And Olympians use it, you know, to visualize their moves.
Absolutely. And I think also we've touched on this before, but we'll go back to it in a minute. If it's a man and a woman having a baby together, let's say, you can cope with a fertility struggle in very different ways.
Yeah.
And as we know from the trying to conceive community,
Yes.
it's very female dominated, and women
Yeah.
are more likely to talk about it, perhaps openly. So do you feel like some of these therapies could be a good idea for men as well?
I do, but men, you know, men are different beings. It's very difficult sometimes to get a man to go to therapy and open up. And, you know, I've often seen it in the clinic when a couple come in, the man will come in with his arms folded, thinking, oh God, here's another thing I'm going to have to
Yeah.
do. You know, this is
Yeah.
something else that my partner has found on Google. And very often it's when they come in and you start talking and they get relaxed, then they start to talk. But the thought of, you know, just booking somebody in to do a treatment for hypnotherapy or whatever, some men will do it, but others are more reluctant to. And, you know, I think that relationship counselling is really important, because your relationship and your relationships with your friends, with colleagues, change when you're trying for a baby, because there are so many obstacles that come up through social gatherings, through relatives saying the wrong thing, or your mother saying the wrong thing to you. You get, you know, you feel very fragile emotionally. And so, and again, you know, when you talk, a woman likes to talk time and time and time again about her issues. For a man, he talks about it for 5 minutes and thinks he's covered everything, which is totally wrong. He hasn't. So I think relationship counselling is very important. And I find that in the clinic, that when I've got a couple with me, I provide that safe space where they can sort of be open and not argue about it. There's not an elephant in the room.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also for people who maybe their partner isn't really interested in doing it, don't be, you know, worried that if you don't do it together, that's a problem. Because my personal situation was that I forced my husband to go to a session. I cried throughout the session. He came out of it.
How did it go?
Well, I found it really useful, even though I cried throughout the session. He came out saying, well, that was a complete waste of time. I'm not doing that again. So then I carried on having counselling just by myself, and that worked for us. But, you know, as you mentioned, for lots of couples, it might be useful to do it together. But there's definitely no right way to do it, is there? It's just
and also, you know, it depends on the therapist as well. You know, not everybody gets on with everybody, and I think rapport is really important when it comes to things like this, because if you've got a good rapport, it makes a difference. But again, when I see couples, I would never either see the woman, or rarely, you know, I see the man. But I think sometimes it's good for him to go to somebody different, because the closeness is too much.
Absolutely. So we'll come back to Hug in a second to announce something. I just want to, if you could give people, let's say, 5 tips for what they can be doing right now whilst they're stuck at home, which they can realistically do. What would you suggest that they do to help whilst they're waiting?
I've just written something on this today, actually, so I've got to remember it. I think that what is important at this time now is that you don't try to do too much. It's tweaks and it's changes. Fair enough, you know, if you're going through IVF or you're planning your frozen embryo transfer or whatever, you're in the goal and you're in the mindset to do it. Our brains are wired to have the least resistance. So, you know, if you're lying in bed, it's like, well, you don't have to get up. It's easier just to lie here, but, you know, I'm going to get up. So I would do things like rituals and routines are really important at this present moment in time. And they can be something simple, like sitting for 5 minutes, looking out of the window, doing some breathing, some mindfulness, just doing what you think is good for you at that time. Getting out in nature.
Great.
Is really, really important. Building up your reserves. So there may be a temptation to go watch Netflix all night, then go to bed really late because you've binged watched 5 sets. Who hasn't? And it's 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. So go to bed earlier if you can. You know, building up your reserves is really, really key. Seek help if you need help. Eat what you can, but don't be hard on yourself, you know, and take supplements, especially vitamin D is really important, folate and omega-3. But, you know, break up your day so that you have got some routine. I mean, I think many women are working from home, but don't spend all day at your computer. You know, do things that are going to help you, and they don't have to be outside. They can be within, and you might wake up and decide, right, today I'm just going to focus on my stress levels. I'm not going to be concerned about anything else. Tomorrow, if it's sunny, I'm going to do the walk. You know, just don't be doing things all of the time. Take your time.
I think that's great advice. I've been trying to make myself go for a walk when I would have been commuting, just to give myself a break to switch off before sitting in front of my laptop all day.
Well, you must be full on your computer all day, because I see you popping up everywhere. And you've got children as well, haven't you? Yeah.
So it is full on at the moment. And as you said, you know, morale is low generally, and it's dark, it's January, it's raining every day here in the UK. So whatever we can do just to get through this period and hope that, you know, with the vaccines, things will improve.
Yeah. Well, I started reading books. You know, I haven't read a book for ages, but not on Kindle, a proper a proper book, which is, you know, it's quite good. It's just different at the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it is about distraction as well. It's about distracting yourself. So, you know, when you're trying for a baby, it's easy to spend your whole day on Dr. Google or before you know. I'm so sorry about this connection.
No,
Eloise.
don't
I have
worry.
no
We're
idea
getting
what's
you
going
back.
on.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think people are probably have Zoom fatigue as well. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
again,
Zoom is, you know, you wake up and you see you've got 4 or 5 Zoom calls, and it's much harder. It was easier in the beginning, but it's much harder because you can't really get the essence of what's going on a Zoom call, can you?
yes, absolutely. We've had some people, I think, write some questions, so I'm just going to have a
Okay.
quick flick through them. Let's have a look. So,
This lady, I feel like that now after a failed IVF attempt 2 weeks ago, so she's obviously feeling quite low about everything.
yeah, and the same with someone who's just had a miscarriage. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
They needed to hear that. And someone is 6 weeks into medication. They've just had so they're about to start injections and they've had it cancelled.
Yeah, that is happening a lot as well. I think with NHS cycles especially.
Because of the pressure on the NHS.
Yeah.
And someone said, not to mention, at least in the US, there's significant others can't. Yes, exactly. So having to go to appointments alone, that's really hard, isn't it?
It is, and you know, it's difficult because, you know, as a couple, you want the support, but yeah, there's a lot of that happening, and it happens in maternity units as well. Although I think partners are allowed in now, in some, but we've got to be flexible here. It's got to be fluid because things change by the day, don't they?
Absolutely. So, a question, and you know, I don't know whether you have advice on this or not, and it's obviously very early days, but it's around fertility and the COVID vaccine and what we know so far, and whether you should have it if you're trying to conceive.
We get asked this a lot at the moment, and I think it should be, you know, low down your list in terms of worries. We're not near making those decisions yet, and things are changing all of the time, and evidence is changing all the time. Just wait. Let's just see what's going to happen.
Well, my sister put in a calculator to see when she might get the vaccine, and it said July 2022. So, who knows how long this is all going to take. I'm just seeing whether there's just, you know, someone saying that they had a successful cycle with you, with Dr. George.
No, Dr. George.
Yes. So yeah, I don't think, am I missing any more? When should you start hypnotherapy? They're hoping to start their cycle in February.
You can start hypnotherapy as soon as you want, but I'm a big believer in when you've got something to work towards, you're more likely to do it. So if you're starting something in February, it would be good to start now, you know. So we've got another 3 or 4 weeks left. Maureen is doing Zooms and Skypes from home. So I think it's a good time now to start.
Okay, and we touched on this earlier, but is acupuncture still happening in your clinic currently?
Acupuncture is at the moment, but it might change. I don't know. Okay. You know, we're taking it sort of day by day.
Of course. Amy has used your pregnancy plan vitamins during her first successful round of IVF.
Great.
They're trying to conceive naturally. So she's taking them again, but she's wondering about switching to VitaFem.
Yeah, pregnancy plan is just general throughout that, you know, for fertility, pregnancy, and after you've had the baby. Vitamin has got slightly higher doses in it, VitaFem. So I think that is worth taking. I think all women should be taking vitamin D at the moment, especially for the immune and COVID. I think a good multivitamin and mineral that contains folate and omega-3 are what you need.
Do you think people should see a fertility nutritionist as well?
I definitely think it's worth seeing, because certainly at the clinic with the nutritionist, women do get a lot of information from it. And certainly when I've done IGTVs with the girls from the clinic, so many questions are asked, and it individualizes it to you. I think what is difficult today, women will read something and they'll come in and they'll have, honestly, a bag full of 30 vitamins that they're taking during the day, which is too much, Eloise. It really is. So it just helps, especially if you've got underlying autoimmune disorders, Crohn's disease, endometriosis, because every woman, every woman is individualized and is different in terms of what their likes, their dislikes, what's going on underlying medically. So,
Yeah.
important that it's individualized.
Absolutely, totally. And it needs to work with your routine as well,
Oh,
doesn't it?
absolutely. It has to work with your routine, because if you make things too hard, I often see women come in and they've got a 30-page document that they have done, and, you go through it and it's just so intense, and it doesn't need to be, because, food has to be enjoyable. If you are knocking everything out of your diet, you become miserable. It's one of our senses. But I do think, when you're going through IVF, we are, like, the Mediterranean diet is really, really good, but we're very, very keen when somebody's going through IVF on getting good protein into them to be able to make eggs, because when you're trying naturally, you just need one egg. But when you're going through IVF, it's important that you need a whole, batch of eggs, and you need protein to be able to do that.
So, sort of looking into that in advance of your treatment, obviously, to give yourself...
Yes, absolutely. To give yourself the best chance, definitely.
Okay. And someone has asked, sleep, what else to build up a good reserve?
I think sleep, I absolutely underrated. We're reading more and more about it now, but it's important for the rhythms in our body, for the rhythms of our life, for our fertility, etc. So that is really, really key. I think giving yourself a bit of a break digitally, which I know is hard at the moment with all the Zooms and everything that you're doing. So, not having your phone on you all of the time, or your iPad or whatever. I think that's important. I think also building up your reserves is going out in nature, not with your earphones on, but just being, and meditating and deep breathing. You're switching your autonomic nervous system from that fight and flight into the parasympathetic, which is peace and calm. So this is all reserve building, taking your supplements, good nutrients when you can.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for that advice. Someone's asked where to find details of your clinic and services, and I'll tag you in this afterwards.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Live. Someone's going for a transfer with Simone on Tuesday.
Oh, Simone is on tomorrow, actually. He's on
Oh,
tomorrow.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So we'll be answering lots of questions then as well.
Great. Well, people should join that too. And
Yeah.
a question about supplementation, vitamins that you'd recommend for men with DNA fragmentation.
Yeah, DNA fragmentation is interesting, isn't it? Because that is a test that looks at oxidative stress of the sperm. And if that is high, you're more likely to need ICSI rather than IVF. The difficulty with a lot of these tests is that they're quite expensive and you need to be able to repeat them. And people sort of tell you different things to take. I think a sperm needs exactly the same as an egg needs. It needs to be able to move quickly. It needs to have protection from free radicals. So I think vitamin C is really important, zinc, omega 3 for the membrane of the sperm, coenzyme Q10 for energy, arginine is important, lycopene. All of these are good to take, to get the sperm right. But the treatment is generally ICSI if you're going through IVF if the sperm is poor.
Yes, and for supplementation, as I mentioned before, you have written a very detailed article about that on the Fertility Help Hub website, so people should read that. And you've also very kindly given us a discount for readers to use, so check that out.
Absolutely.
And then someone has asked, which you've touched on before, especially with Hug, but the benefits of hypnotherapy.
Right, the benefits of hypnotherapy, I think, depends on the hypnotherapist. And like you were saying, you thought that it would be a watch swinging back and forth. That's not the case at all. The benefits are that it helps you reset the way you're thinking and the way you're rewiring, you're wiring your brain for positivity rather than negativity. It helps you cope with many, many, many factors. So women come to hypnotherapy for all manners of issues, to get pregnant, fear around IVF, how to manage through your cycle, how to stop smoking, if you're overeating, if you're undereating, all mindset things. Hypnotherapy will be beneficial to have.
Okay, Great, thank you. How much time do you have, Zita? Because there
I'm
are so
okay.
many questions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work through them. Okay. Someone said, in the last 18 months, they've had a chemical pregnancy, a missed miscarriage at 10 weeks, a loss, sadly, at 20 weeks, and most recently an ectopic pregnancy. I'm so sorry for them. Where should they go from here?
It's really difficult. I don't know what this lady's age is, but her history, having a late loss at 20 weeks, she needs to have investigations. So there are certain blood tests she might need to have done. I don't know whether there was an autopsy done on for the 20 weeks. So she does need specialist help.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you for that.
And it's hard.
I know it's hard.
Yeah, very, very hard.
And also, as you mentioned, without knowing what the circumstances are, it's difficult to suggest.
Yes, it is.
Steps, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry they feel losses. And then someone has asked about hypnotherapy being available virtually. Again, I can tag Maureen in this so they can find her.
Yeah.
And lastly, please could you discuss the different complementary therapies? So we've talked about hypnotherapy. What about reflexology as well as acupuncture?
Yeah, I think these are all key. So when I sort of set up my clinic, we had all sorts. We had reflexology, we had osteopathy, we had all sorts of therapies in. I'm a midwife. I'm trained in acupuncture. I have done a nutritional course at ION, and I've always been interested in the mindset. So I've sort of kept in the clinic hypnotherapy, counselling, acupuncture, nutrition, because they are my main specialities. There are many other treatments out there. So I really think reflexology is excellent. I think it's well worth doing. I'm not a huge advocate of Chinese medicine. I'm not trained in it in terms of herbs. I prefer vitamins, but it doesn't mean to say there's anything wrong with those if you go to the correct place. I think osteopathy is good. I think massage of the stomach, massage, all of these are good therapies to do. You've got to find out what helps you and what works for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we talked about hug, but I want to tell people that you're very kindly giving away a place on your course, which is worth £250.
Like I changed my mind as I got cut.
I know, suddenly left the conversation, which is a very generous gift. So thank you very much. It will make someone very happy, I'm sure.
No, it's a pleasure. It would be good to do. And what happens with these courses? I'm doing a mini course actually. I forgot to say next week, which is free. I did a 30-day course last year, Eloise, that women really, really liked. And so I thought for this lockdown, I'd do a slimmed down version of that. So if anybody wants to do it, you can go onto my Instagram and you can sign up. And it's next Wednesday and Friday. So that's going to be covering absolutely everything, help you plan, mindset, supplements, everything. And I'll be doing a follow-up on Friday to find out how people have got on. So that is free. But with the courses, it's a module of 4. It's all online, so there's videos, I've done videos, etc. I really enjoyed actually putting it together. There's a 60-page workbook to go through. And then I meet up with people after the course on a Zoom call and able to answer questions, etc. And also there's a guided visualizations as well for trying to conceive naturally, heart-uterus connection, mindset for IVF. It's all on there. It's all on the website.
Okay, so anyone can enter from around the world because it's virtually, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's virtual rather.
Yeah.
And it could be whether you're trying to conceive naturally or with IVF.
Trying to conceive naturally, IVF, early pregnancy is really important because that's when women need a lot of support in early pregnancy.
Fantastic. Yes. So I will post this to the Fertility Help Hub IGTV after we finished, and then people will need to just comment if they're interested in winning this course, and we will announce that person very soon. So
and there is a minute, you know, the other course I'm doing is free, and it's people might want to do that as well.
Absolutely, that's the reason I set up Fertility Help Hub, because I felt like I didn't have holistic support. So I wish that I had had things like this when I was going through it. This Instagram
Yeah.
community didn't exist 5 years ago, or maybe it
Well,
did and I
it's
didn't know
really
about it.
it's really grown within the last year.
Yeah.
Everybody's sort of gone online, haven't they?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for answering all of these questions tonight. It's been
Oh, a
wonderful
pleasure,
to speak
Eloise.
with you.
Yeah, lovely to be with you as well.
And have a nice evening. Thank you
And
everyone for joining.
yeah, thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.